Forgive me for the dramatic title, but this is a conversation that we kinda had before. Last time we talked about this player, it was with the idea in mind that he was, quote-unquote, running out of time. Now, not only is Running Out of Time a good Tyler, the Creator song, but it was the topic of that video. Hey, there was an article published talking about the LA Kings, this prospect Arthur Kaliyev, which we're going to be talking about once more today, and the idea that he was sort of on the last legs in terms of being able to really solidify himself in the ways that LA Kings fans wanted to see him do. Arthur Kaliyev is a 22-year-old, 6'2", 209-pound left-handed forward. He plays both wings, and he is signed to the end of 2024 on his ELC. Initially an LA Kings draftee back in 2019 in the second round, he was seen as a huge steal in that spot right off the bat. He had some scouting outlets that had him as high as in the top 15, most had him in the top 25, but he slipped all the way to round number 2, because there were multiple problems that kind of plagued his game in 2019. Sure, he had 102 points in 67 games played that season. He was seen as the guy with the best raw shooting talent in the draft. He may not have been the best goal scorer per se. That title belonged to Cole Caulfield, but when it came to just pure shooting mechanics, shot velocity, and power, Kaliyev had him beat. But even though that was the case, there were concerns about Kaliyev and his defensive play, his engagement off the puck, his temperament was also in question as well, and as a result you had him slide down to the second round, even though when it came to the offensive talent he possessed, this was a first-round caliber guy, no questions asked. And as his career went on, he showed off more of that talent, firstly in the AHL, 31 points in 40 games, as a rookie, not bad in the slightest. But this most recent season saw Kaliyev put up 28 points in 56 games played. Now that's not necessarily bad, but we did have an article published earlier this week on LA Hockey Now talking about young players and big contracts on the Kings, and the 3 young guys with the most to prove. This was written by Austin Stanovich. It was published on July 27th, 2023, and I will leave a link in the description if you want to read this yourself. Long story short, Stanovich writes about Arthur Kaliyev towards the end, and it asks the question, could this be Kaliyev's last chance to cement himself within the Kings organization? I think it might be. Stanovich writes, he's expected to replace Gabe Vilardi in the top 9 this season, a spot he lost to Vilardi last year, and he has to produce. It's been an interesting career for Kaliyev so far. He's felt like a square peg in a round hole on the 4th line at times, but has shown flashes of his high-end goal scoring. Big defenders of Kaliyev point to his goals and points per 60 as a reason he'll succeed in a more prominent role, but it's important to note that those numbers plummet a bit when looking at 5v5 production. And that has always been a main part of Kaliyev's skill set and what made him so effective. His power play production was insane, off the charts. You set him up on the right side and you just let him unleash one-timers on goal, and this guy's scoring 30 goals in his sleep. But plain and simple, 5v5 is where the NHL game is played most of the time, so you're gonna have to have guys that step up in those situations if you want to make the league. So when it comes to Arthur Kaliyev, it's going to be intriguing to see where he goes with his development. As we had said, we already made another video earlier in the year asking if he could be running out of time, quote-unquote, because of the ups and downs he had this season. Playing on the 4th line is definitely not going to give Kaliyev the best opportunity to get 5v5 production, because this is a player that thrives when he plays with top playmakers. You take a look at what Kaliyev was able to do in the Hamilton Bulldogs system when he was getting 100 points and a whole bunch of goals. He was getting set up by guys like Matthew Strome, for example. Yeah, brother of Dylan and Ryan Strome. On the 4th line this year, he's playing with who? And of course, you could say that with the other guys ahead of him on the depth chart, the Gabe Vilardis of the world, the Iafallos, even, of course, Kevin Fiala is there too, it makes it really difficult for Kaliyev, who is a goal-scoring winger, to really force himself higher up in the lineup. But now that Iafallo and Vilardi are both gone, you've got a center coming back in Dubois who's going to play in the middle. This opens the door for a guy like Kaliyev to hopefully be given better minutes and improve his 5v5 results in the process. Now, he needs to get better defensively. He needs to get better analytically. He was one of the worst players in this department the past season. We talked about that in the last video. But if Kaliyev can at the very least go out there and get a lot more even strength goal scoring, if he could up his goal numbers from what he had last year, 13 goals in 56 games played, about a 20 goal pace over the span of 82, let's say Kaliyev gets 25 goals. Let's say he gets 30. all of a sudden, there's a reason to put this guy in your middle to top 6. And even if he gets a bunch of these goals in the power play, at the very least, if he's able to prove that he can play in the NHL in a middle 6 role at 5v5 and hold his own, that is ultimately what you really want. Kaliyev was also derailed by injuries a bunch the past few years, so it's not going to be easy to say that he's had the best opportunity available to him, but it's a part of the game, man. Like, he's going to get hurt sometimes, and he did get hurt. So heading into next season, this writer on LA Hockey Now, Austin Stanovich, is saying that this could be one of the last chances for Kaliyev to really prove that he is worth keeping around because he's actually able to fulfill the potential he has. We all kind of knew that when Kaliyev was drafted, he could be one of the best goal scorers from the entire 2019 draft. There's some crazy talented names in that draft. Jack Hughes, Cole Caulfield, Capo Caco, Trevor Zegras. There are some great names, but Kaliyev had higher goal-scoring ceilings than most of them. So seeing this fall in the way that it has in the NHL, where he's getting a lot of power play goals but is not playing too well at even strength to justify giving him the minutes, it's the most unfortunate story you could imagine. But now with the departures of Iafallo and Gabe Vilardi, we'll see where exactly Kaliyev is able to head over into 23-24. Hopefully it's near that 20 to 30 goal territory. More 25, actually. Hopefully it's in that 25 to 30 goal territory. Yeah, that's probably a lot more realistic of a standard to hold for this guy, if you're on the more optimistic side, of course. If everything goes right for Arthur Kaliyev, there's no reason this guy cannot be a consistent 30-35 goal guy, considering the talent that he has. It's up to him to prove that he's worth giving that opportunity to. So if you're an LA Kings fan, I want you to let me know in the comments a few things. Firstly, what are your thoughts on the idea that Arthur Kaliyev could be running out of time, or that Kaliyev is on his last legs, this is his last chance to really prove that he belongs in this level? Do you think it's all doom and gloom? If everything goes poorly next season, if Kaliyev doesn't prove his worth, and his ELC expires, what do you think is the move then? Do you think that he holds out and goes to UFA status? Do you think the Kings just suck it up and re-sign him, only to play him in Ontario for the rest of his career? Do you think that it's still way too young to be writing guys off like this? Hey, why are you saying this is his last chance? He's only 22 years old. There's still a lot more time for a guy like this to develop. Is that entire conversation dependent on the status of the Kings? Do you want them to be competitive now while they still have Kopitar? And do you think if Kaliyev is not ready to take over that spot, then he's just not worth giving that opportunity to at this point in time because you're trying to be competitive, you're trying to win? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Arthur Kaliyev and the situation in LA? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.